And just know, if you're buying a back issue, there's a 90% chance that's been read on someone's toilet.
That's true as well, yeah.
So keep that in mind.
Keep that in mind.
Hello, I'm Carter.
And I'm Xander.
And this is the second episode of Kicking Trees.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking top 10 Batman recommendations and what we picked up this week. And on top of all that, just other stuff. Let's go. Starting off with what we got that was the same. Got Deadpool issue 13. West Coast Avengers issue 6. Moon Knight issue 7. Batgirl, you got Batgirl? Batgirl issue 6. And then for what's different, you go.
Got Miles Morales Spider-Man 32. And Absolute Superman number 6.
And then finishing off my stack, I have The Immortal Thor 22, X-Men 14, Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe One Last Time, issue 1, Ultimate X-Men 14, and then just assorted Batman back issues because there was a sale today. Let's get into the top 10 Batman recommendations. So every list, they have the basics. They got Batman Year 1, they got The Dark Knight Returns, they got other things. Those are all well and good. And I'm sure some of the ones on our list will be basic, but we try to be slightly off the beaten path and what is accessible to just pick up and read. So I am going first. These are the ones I had trades of that are easy to access. The rest are in short boxes, and I am not going through the short boxes to find them. So starting off, this is kind of cheating because I don't know if Batman's actually in this, if I recall. I don't think he is, maybe one page. It's Arkham Asylum, Living Hell. It is by Dan Slott, and up there with the best he's ever written, probably. It's about one guy, his name's the Great White Shark. He goes to Arkham Asylum, and he has just a very bad time.
Why was it so good it got into your top 10 here?
I like it when a main character just really goes through it, and like I said, has a bad time.
Yeah.
And he has an exceptionally bad time. He comes out at the end pretty disfigured.
So it's disturbing?
It's just, yeah, it's a good Batman horror story.
All right.
Then I got Batman, the Cat, and the Bat. This is Batgirl and Catwoman's first in-continuity encounter and how their interaction goes. It's a lot of fun, and for a certain specific fan group out there, there's a certain full splash page that just might interest you. I'll show it to Xander here real quick.
I think I know what you're talking about. Oh, yeah. Very provocative.
Yes. So it has art by Kevin Maguire, who I think is a fantastic artist, and just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next up, I got Batman the Cult here. This one has Jason Todd as Robin, which there aren't a ton of those stories out there. It is by Jim Starlin. And so Bane, he broke the Bat's back, right? He physically broke the Bat. This one has, I believe his name's Deacon Blackfire, is the leader of a cult, and he mentally breaks the Bat and converts him to his cult. And then Jason has to come and save Batman, and it just highlights their relationship pretty well. Next up, I do have all these in single issues, and again, I wasn't going to go find them for you, I'm sorry. So coming up, I got 10 Nights of the Beast. So it introduces KG Beast, and he's like a Terminator, unstoppable figure, and Batman tries really hard to stop him, and then does something kind of morally ambiguous at the end. And it makes for an interesting story. You've read this one recently as well.
That one actually is in my list as well.
Oh, spoilers.
It was a surprise to both of us. We didn't tell each other our list. That one is in my list as well. That's a bit of a spoiler from my list.
Yeah, so we might have some overlap. We've read a lot of the same comics, so overlap pretty likely. Next up, this comes immediately after 10 Nights of the Beast in issue numbering, and it doesn't have a full story name. It's Batman issues 421 to 425. So those issues cover... There's a serial killer running around who's also a drug dealer, and Batman and Jason, it's another Jason Todd Robin story, they are trying to take them down, but then the guy they're after has some sort of diplomatic political immunity, so they can't bring him to justice, and that really bothers Jason. And that's the story where, did Jason push that guy off the balcony? And then Batman gets really mad at him, but then it shows some hypocrisy from Batman, because Batman's kind of inadvertently sort of killing people in that same story, and it's just culminates in something very interesting.
One more spoiler, that one is in my list. It's just a really
it's interesting.
Also, what really gets Jason is he's beating his girlfriend. The drug dealer is beating his girlfriend.
Yes.
And then they find out he has diplomatic immunity. And then they finally get something like they find drugs on him, so they're going to deport him. But then he knows that won't work, so he calls the girlfriend and says, in front of Batman and Robin, and says, "I'll see you tonight." And then they're worried about the girlfriend. They go check on her. She's killed herself.
So, just such an interesting story. It's gritty,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah.
And that's what really pushes Jason
Mm-hmm.
to do what he maybe did.
Because Jason definitely has more of a chip on his shoulder than the other Robins. He's more traumatized. He did have an abusive father growing up and
Yeah,
everything.
so it really plucks a nerve
Yeah.
for him.
Next up on my list, I have from Tom King's Batman run, Super Friends, where Batman and Superman go on a double date at an amusement park. And it highlights the differences in their relationships of Batman and Catwoman and Superman and Lois. And then they switch costumes and fun is to be had. Is that one on your list?
That one I thought you were going to do, so I kept it off my list, but
Nice.
also a great story. I do love that.
Yeah. And then I have Batman and Robin Reborn. It is the first story. Is that on your list?
It is. Well, I have that whole run, actually. I couldn't say that this is the first story. I would say
okay.
the first story probably is the best, but that whole Grant Morrison Batman Robin run is on my list, yeah.
Okay. Because having Dick Grayson and Damian be the Batman and Robin, that is a basic choice to have on a top 10 Batman list.
It is.
But it's just really good.
It is.
You have to trust.
Also, I love Dick Grayson. Him dealing with the little brat Damian is just great stuff. I think he deals with Damian better than Bruce does.
Yes, easily. And I chose Reborn specifically because that's the one where they're fighting Jason, right?
Oh, it is, isn't it?
I chose Reborn specifically because that's the one where they're fighting Jason. They're fighting Jason Todd as a villainous, a slightly more superheroic Red Hood, but still a villain, and Jason takes on his own sidekick, and just having Tim's left out.
Tim's left
Tim's left out of that
completely,
one.
I believe.
But having those three Robins just interacting, all with pretty different personalities, it's good stuff.
Jason ends up having his beef with Tim in Teen Titans, I believe, at that time.
When he dresses up with the long pants,
Yes.
that was during that time?
I don't know what time exactly, but he has his way with Tim Drake as well.
Oh.
So I guess maybe that's why he's left out of that story.
I always thought that was when Under the Red Hood was coming out.
At the same time as that?
Yeah, like
Why?
when Jason was first coming back to life, when they first, like immediately after that, I thought that's when.
Maybe that is when.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Okay, now this one, before we were recording, I was telling you, I have a real curveball in here.
Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to include an Elseworlds Batman story, and my hot take is, of all the ones from the 90s and late 80s, I didn't read anything past 2000 for Elseworld Batman, but I have read 90% of all the other Batman Elseworlds. It's Batman Houdini.
Never heard of it.
So Batman takes place whenever Houdini was active. I don't know when that was. So it takes place, Houdini was active in like the 1920s. So that's when it takes place. And they kind of reframe escape artist, magician man Houdini as a superhero of that time. And he and Batman, they team up and they fight vampires. And
That sounds pretty awesome.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And my hot take is it's better than Batman Gotham by Gaslight.
It's the best Batman Elseworld story, you would say, of all of them?
Yeah.
All right. That's quite the statement.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I like Batman, the Vampire Trilogy quite a bit as well. But I liked Batman Houdini more.
Wow.
Yeah. Next up, I have Batman Prey, which is originally from Legends of the Dark Knight. It is the first, or not the first. It's a Batman Hugo Strange story, and I think it reads even better now than it did when it came out. Hugo Strange is just a massive incel, and he feels inadequate next to Batman, so he insists that Batman's a pervert of the night, and this actually upsets Batman and everything, and he's like, women only want Batman for the thrill. They don't want a real man like Hugo Strange and stuff like that. He's trying to get women interested in him, so he then kidnaps a woman, and he has a mannequin that he is romantically connected to in the story, and then he himself dresses up as Batman so he can feel powerful, and it's just really interesting stuff.
And to be fair, if Batman was real and I was told he was a pervert of the night, I could be convinced easily.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
It's like that checks out.
Yeah, just how he dresses and stuff.
He's wearing a bunch of black leather and
Yeah,
beating
it's
people
suspicious.
up. So he's going on TV and making these statements, and Batman's drinking a water or something. He crushes his glass, and Alfred's like, "Is everything okay, sir?" And he's like, "Oh my god, I hate this guy." And then finally, because Tim Drake's my favorite Robin, but he's been absent from all these stories. So I'm gonna say one that does focus mostly on him, and it's from James Tynion's Detective Comics run, A Lonely Place of Living, where he was kidnapped by Jor-El. Is that what that?
Jor-El, yeah.
He was kidnapped by Superman's Kryptonian father, Jor-El, because he was a threat to the happiness in the DC universe or something. It didn't make sense.
No.
Okay?
And actually, before he grabs Tim, Tim was about to die. He could have let Tim die. but instead he was like, no, I have to grab him and take him so that he's not part of the DC universe.
From those drones.
Yes.
It didn't make sense.
No.
But it was a cool story once Tim was in that prison, and then he encounters the Titans of Tomorrow version of himself who became Batman, and then that Batman fixes a bunch of continuity just in like 2 lines of dialogue. He says, Dick didn't want to be Batman, Jason went missing. He went searching for Jason. While he was searching for Jason, all the Batman 666 Damian stuff happened. He returned to Gotham. He was almost burned down. Then he continued on as Batman. All those future timelines, he fixed it right
also,
there.
There's some real badass stuff with that Tim Drake Batman. I think he fights all the Robins at the same time.
He does. He does take them down. But that was possibly a different story, though.
Really?
Because he comes back and attacks the Teen Titans.
Oh, yeah.
And Superboy.
Possibly a different story. Badass either way.
Yes. I'm keeping it to Lonely Place of Living, but just check out all that stuff when he was kicking around. All right, it is now your go.
That's your whole list?
Yeah, we only had
2.
We only had 2 overlap. That's not bad. I was expecting more, honestly.
So the overlap was 10 Nights of the Beast.
Yeah.
I really liked that one because it was the first Batman story of the older stuff where he wasn't just this absolute god that knows everything and can never lose. He is actually like a human man who is having troubles fighting this highly trained
Russian assassin. He goes through it in that one.
He mostly loses in the, the story. Yeah, he cannot get the upper hand
of the 10 nights. He probably loses 9 of the nights.
And then on that last night, he barely wins.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's not a clean win.
He has to be kind of cheap to win.
Yeah.
That's why I like that one. And then I already went over the Jason pushing the guy off the patio thing. So then, other than that, I've got a story called The Best Man by Tom King, where it starts with Batman finding Joker in a courthouse.
I almost had that one on my list. I almost did.
It's just a quick 2-story arc. The first issue is like, it's pretty good, okay. But then the second issue, after Joker takes down Batman, Catwoman comes in, slashes Joker's neck at the same time that he shoots through Catwoman's stomach. And then there's laying there bleeding out for the entire issue, talking about the good old days when they're both villains together.
Yeah.
Talking about all their pals, like the Riddler and the Penguin. It's just really good stuff to go through their relationship. It shows how they have like sort of bonded in a way through all the years fighting Batman together or just separately having the same enemy.
That was a good thing I liked in the Tom King run. It did lump Catwoman in with the villains when they had flashback things too.
Yes.
Like at one point they show her in Arkham Asylum and all she can say is meow.
Yeah.
Because she was needed in the...
She was a crazy person.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And it shows a complicated relationship with her and them now because she is more of a good guy now than a bad guy, I would say.
But they're still kind of her friends.
Yeah. It's complicated. And I like that. Oh, right, and there is Batman and Robin by Grant Morrison, which we
have 3 overlap.
Yeah, 3 overlap. This one is more of a recent one. It's Joker War by James Tynion. I thought that was a great story. I think it was the first big Batman event that happened after Tom King's run. It was after Alfred died. It had Batman dealing with Alfred's death, hallucinating, talking to a fake Alfred, and realizing that he can do things without Alfred. He realized he wasn't useless without Alfred, which he was having troubles with. And there's also just awesome moments, like one time Batman pulls out a spare battery he has, and Harley Quinn is like, oh my god, you have that? And he's like, yes, I call it a battery. And then Harley goes, no, you fucking don't.
And it was hilarious.
It was.
That was a fun story because it was the modern Harley Quinn kind of becoming semi-Bat family, which they haven't been consistent with.
But I like the idea. She was trying to be a Robin and everything. Yeah, I really liked that. Also, as I've said before, I love Nightwing. It was the story that brought back Dick Grayson after he had been Rick Grayson for so long, which is just a horrible thing that happened to Nightwing at one point.
Those were very sad years for Xander.
Yeah,
Rick
it was.
Grayson years.
Nightwing is my favorite, and just I couldn't get my Nightwing fix because Rick Grayson, I know he had the title of Nightwing. He was not Nightwing. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. That's not Nightwing right there.
Not at all.
Not the guy. And then next off, we have sort of a sequel to 10 Nights of the Beast, also by Tom King, called Beasts of Burden. This one...
I forgot about that one. That one is good.
It is good. It sort of deals with Rick Grayson again. It's right after Nightwing gets shot in the head, and Batman finds out that KG Beast is the one that did it. It starts off with Nightwing coming to comfort Batman after Catwoman leaves him at the altar, which is some classic Nightwing stuff. He's such a pure guy, and it really shows the relationship beautifully. And then he gets shot in the head, and Batman is on a vengeance run, has to fight the KG Beast again, and does a beautiful callback to 10 Nights of the Beast and defeats KG Beast in the exact same way, which is a much darker version of how Batman would face most of his villains, which I enjoy.
The fun part in that is, doesn't he shoot KG Beast with his grapple in that? Yeah. And then breaks his neck?
Yeah, something like that. He can't move. That's
just pretty wild stuff.
That's some extreme stuff for
Yeah,
Batman,
yeah.
yeah. And then KGB's like, you're just going to leave me here? And then he does. He
And
does
then-
just leave him there.
Yeah, and Commissioner Gordon's like, how did you know that we were there to save KG Beast or whatever? And then Batman just says nothing.
Yeah, he did not know.
Yeah, and then he's probably looking back on when Jason maybe pushed that guy off the balcony. He's like, I really judged Jason harshly that day.
You can't hurt Dick Grayson and get away with it. Next, I also have another Tom King. I love Tom King. His Batman Catwoman run. There was some weaker issues in that 12-issue run for sure, but there was also some great stuff about... I really liked how they were still together in their old age, any of the stuff with them in their old age, and they had a daughter and everything. Then after Bruce dies of old age, there's a beautiful page of Catwoman just talking to Bruce's grave. It's just a lot of good character moments.
So their daughter in that, was she named Helena? I don't remember.
I don't quite remember either, but I think she was.
So now that brings up, with the different Earths and whatever, they named their daughter after the Huntress?
Or they just have the same name. They happen to have the same name. Like Bruce meets Huntress at some point and he's like, that's a pretty cool name. I'm going to name my daughter that. Not necessarily after you, but I'm going to name my daughter that.
It's just...
Batman knows a lot of people.
It's just Batman's daughter being Helena is locked in. Everyone uses it because that's what she was on Earth 2 when she was Huntress. And before Huntress was Helena Bertinelli. But now Batman knows a separate Huntress named Helena, who's a friend from work. He names his daughter after her whenever they do this.
She's a respectable woman.
All right.
And he likes the name. He's like, why not name her after the Huntress?
Okay.
Next, slightly mentioned earlier, but not quite. Detective Comics, Rise of the Batman. That is when Tim supposedly dies from all the drones. He has a beautiful moment of all these drones were made to kill and shoot all of Gotham City's citizens, and then since he's a tech genius and just a genius in general, he manages to hack them, but they still need some sort of target to shoot. They're set to shoot no matter what, so he makes himself the target. So then all of the city's drones come facing Tim to shoot him down. And then he has a last little call with Batman and tell the other Robins that he loves them, and then he hangs up on Batman kind of abruptly to talk to Stephanie for his last moments. Stephanie Brown, the spoiler. And then he just has a good talk with Stephanie about how Stephanie made him the man that he wanted to be in those last few months of that run, and then he gets blasted away by a bunch of drones, and it's just a really cool moment for Tim. And I think it would have been cooler if he didn't get taken away at the last second by Jor-El. But that's another issue.
What was he calling himself? Mr. Oz. That's what he was calling himself at the time.
Just to do an Ozymandias fake out is what I think.
Because Doomsday Clock was coming around.
Yeah. So they were just trying to mess with us a bit, and it made no sense.
I remember I was convinced that Mr. Oz was Superboy Prime, actually.
Because you thought it was a fake out, and you were trying to guess it was someone else?
Well, I thought it was someone known.
Okay.
Which all the theories were it was someone known.
I remember you thinking that, and you had kind of convinced me as well.
Yeah, I was convinced it was Superboy Prime. Xander thought it was Ozymandias. But who would have thought?
It was Jor-El.
Jor-El.
Yeah. Should have known.
Yeah. What idiots we are.
Yeah. God. And then this next one here is another Detective Comics story from the same run by James Tynion called Night's Fall / it goes into another story called The Trial of Batwoman. Clayface had been turned good in this series. He had been working to be a better man. They found some way to put his brain more together when he's in full clay form, and he was trying to redeem himself throughout the entire run, but the machine stopped working. He went a little crazy, turned into a giant monster. Batwoman didn't see any way out of it. He was about to kill many people, so then Batwoman shot him in the head with a special bullet and killed him. And then the following issues were Batman gathering the entire Bat family to have a council meeting about what they should do about Batwoman, if she should still be part of the family, and how they should deal with this moving forward. Each member of the family gets their own chance to talk about how they feel, and it's also just really good character stuff, and it's interesting seeing how they each react to how Batwoman dealt with this situation.
Now, if I remember correctly, the Clayface in that was Basil Carlo.
I believe so.
He died there.
Yes.
And then, who's the next Clayface that shows up in something?
I don't even know when he showed up again. As
other Clayfaces?
Yeah.
Is it Basil again?
I have no idea. I've never heard of him coming back to life from that. But I
let us know if Basil Carlo is back from the dead.
Yes, please do.
I think he is.
If he is, it's a shame because they were doing great stuff with him.
Yeah,
and now he's just nothing again.
Clayface continuity is always a mess.
Because of the multiples.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I have one last one. This was my curveball.
Ooh.
Which I think is more of a curveball than yours.
Mine has Houdini in it.
But it's still a Batman story. Mine is a Green Arrow story.
Whoa!
I know. Green Arrow by Judd Winnick. It's a story called Seeing Red. And it's shortly after the Under the Red Hood story, where Red Hood invades Star City, and then he kidnaps Speedy at the time, who is Mia Dearden, and then Green Arrow and Batman have to work together to try and stop Red Hood. And there's just a lot of great stuff about Jason wanting to meet Green Arrow. He fights Green Arrow. They have some cool interactions. And they also have some cool interactions between Batman, Green Arrow, and the Batmobile about how they're each horrible fathers and they keep on taking shots at each other for being horrible fathers. Green Arrow's like, how did you let your kid die? Batman's like, if I remember correctly, when your kid was addicted to heroin, you abandoned him immediately. And then Green Arrow's like, yeah, you got a point there. I'm not a perfect man. And then Mia Dearden has some cool stuff happening with Jason.
That's a cool duo to be interacting, Jason and Mia.
You wouldn't expect it.
Yeah, and Mia, she's also from the streets.
Yes. They actually dig into that. He psychologically messes with Mia by saying, I've done horrible things and I understand how you have to do horrible things sometimes, but I'm here to tell you that our dads there don't understand that.
And they don't.
No.
They're both fabulously wealthy.
Yeah, and then after that, Mia's pretty cold to Oliver for a while because she feels like he
that.
Says that he understands all the time, but she's like, I know you don't, and I know what you think of me.
Because he fights for all the social justice stuff, but he hasn't experienced the poverty and whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mia just gets some great character moments in that too. Like a building blows up with Jason near it, and then Batman's like, he probably wasn't in it, and Mia was like, well, doesn't he have a history of blowing up in buildings like that? And then Batman gets upset, and she's like, I'm sorry, that was completely insensitive. I should go now.
Oh.
Yeah. And that's my 10.
That is a good curveball.
That is a good curve. I thought so. You thought your curveball was more of a curveball, and I was like, I'm sure it's not.
I don't know.
Yours is still Batman.
Mine has Houdini in it.
Yours is called Batman.
That's true.
Anyways. Doesn't matter. Not at all.
Let us know whose list was better.
Let us know whose curveball was more of a curveball as well.
I would say we did a good job there. We have each of the Robins covered.
Yeah, and honestly, from our lists, you would assume we're huge Jason Todd fans. I don't really like him that much nowadays. I loved him in that period of time. You would assume I love him so much. I think he went down the drain creatively a long time ago.
It was the New 52 Scott Lobdell series that really screwed Jason in.
It ruined him, and he hasn't recovered.
No. Scott Lobdell had him for like 10 years almost.
It was a long time.
It was a really long time. And now they're two back and forth on, is he actually the bad boy of the Batman family? No, he's not a bad boy anymore.
No. Is he going to murder? No, he's not going to murder, but then he might, but then he doesn't.
Yeah, and then they do that story over and over again, and it's creatively bankrupt.
Yeah. I thought it was much more interesting when he was a full-on villain fighting Dick and Damian and all that.
He works better as a villain.
Also, just having a Robin from the past having become a bad guy, that's just a cool thing to have as a set thing that has happened.
He's no longer really a stain on Batman's legacy.
No. When he was fully bad, though, Green Arrow saw it as a stain on his legacy, and he would try to console Batman. Batman was like, it's fine, he's just another criminal. And Green Arrow would be like, okay, I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah, that's just good stuff.
It is.
And another thing with Jason that the New 52 robbed us of is, okay, yeah, let him be a full-on good guy member of the Bat family, but with the transition from the pre-52 to the New 52, they don't show that happening.
No, which could have been a good story.
It could have been a good story, but instead it starts and he's fully on the Bat family. He has the bat on his chest and everything.
Yeah. Disgusting.
Yeah.
Also just a mess of a series from when he started off with Starfire and Roy Harper. That was just a mess.
Yeah, he took Dick Grayson's friends and romance interests.
And then now it's confusing about who Roy is friends with and if Starfire has been with and stuff.
The answer is both.
Writers have troubles with that now.
Do they? They have Roy be friends with both and have Starfire have a. Were they banging in that?
I think there's like a horrible story at the start where Starfire is like a blank slate.
Yeah, I remember that.
And she sleeps with both of them.
Oh.
And I think they've tried to get rid of that because it was disrespectful.
Yeah, okay. Didn't know it went that far. I'm fine with Roy being besties with both Robins.
Yeah.
What's Roy's origin? Roy is a circus kid as well, I believe, isn't he?
I don't know. That's a great question.
I might be thinking of Hawkeye.
You could be.
Let us know what Roy's origin is.
It'd be weird if it was Hawkeye and Roy. But I could see it. What is Roy's origin?
I don't know. Let us know. This is embarrassing.
That is. That's a crazy thing
glaring,
not to know.
Neither of us. I didn't realize I didn't know that.
Yeah. He's just there.
Let us know. Let us know Roy Harper's origins. I think he was from the circus, if I recall correctly, which I probably don't. Wow,
I don't know.
I'm ashamed
We
personally.
should be.
All the other Titans.
Well, I got a solid grasp on where they came from, yeah.
Where did Aqualad come from, actually?
I assumed Aqualad was just born under the water,
And that's all I needed?
eventually Aquaman is like, hey, you wanna
Hey,
beat
boy.
some bad guys with me?
That sounds likely.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm fine with that. Aqualad is usually done dirty, anyways.
Yeah.
So it's not important.
No.
Are you looking forward to the Thunderbolts movie?
I actually am, yes.
Ah,
Yeah. I like how the trailer seems to have made Bucky pretty useful and pretty cool again. I didn't like in Falcon and Winter Soldier how useless he was. He would get into a fight, kind of stand there, and then get beaten up every single time, it felt like.
he lost most fights in that.
Yeah, and then like that moment when the Wakandans come in and he puts up a fight for like 1 second, he lets them tap him a few times and his arm just pops off.
Oh, they kick his ass in that.
They do.
Which
I'm fine if they beat him, but like let him put up a fight.
no, yeah, but
But he
got
just
taken
gets
down.
destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it looks like when he's chasing them in the car and everything, it looks like they're actually scared of Bucky as the Winter Soldier and everything. They're like, oh my god, he's after us. We gotta get out of here.
That's a fun reverse on what the Winter Soldier normally is. Hunting down these semi-villains,
Oh yeah,
kind of treating him like a heroic Terminator.
yeah, and it looks like just a good time. It looks like one of the better Marvel movies in a little bit.
What do you think of them introducing the Sentry right before DC reboots Superman like 2 months later?
That is also interesting.
Do you think it's intentional?
It didn't feel intentional to me.
I
Do you think it's
I
intentional?
think it's intentional.
Yeah. I think it would have been funny if they had Sentry's costume completely copy the Superman costume except make it yellow and stuff. Then I would have been like, that's pretty intentional.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are you excited for it?
I think it looks pretty decent, but I'm definitely more so looking forward to Fantastic Four and Superman.
Fantastic Four, I'm not really excited for.
And why is that?
I don't know. It just doesn't seem very exciting to me. I love Pedro Pascal. I don't know if I like him as Reed Richards, though.
I'm also not a fan of that casting. And I would have preferred if he either fully shaved or grew a full beard.
Yeah, that's not really a Reed look. It's just
No.
the mustache.
No.
Yeah.
Looks like they want Pedro Pascal and everything, but he's always Pedro Pascal, except for somehow in The Mandalorian. He's less Pedro Pascal in that.
Joel, he's pretty Joel as well in The Last
Is
of
he?
Us.
Okay.
Pedro Pascal can be a goofball, but Joel does goof around.
Did you watch the Superman teaser?
I saw a bit of it with Crypto just hopping on his
That was hilarious.
on his body. Yeah, that was really funny. Superman, I'm quite excited for.
Did you watch all of the trailer?
No.
Crypto takes him back to the fortress, and then he has the Superman robots there.
That's awesome too.
Yeah.
I'm loving how comic booky the Superman movie is turning out already.
Because who doesn't want you don't want the non-comic booky stuff.
The
You're
Marvel
making-
movies are kind of afraid to go all in like that.
Yeah, they wouldn't do Superman robots.
No.
No. You have to not be ashamed of what you're adapting.
Yeah, I have faith in James Gunn's new DC universe.
Just having Crypto, that's a big plus.
That is too.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would have done that before either.
Like Marvel or DC?
I mean Marvel.
You
Yeah,
think
that might
Marvel-
have been another thing that was a little too out there.
What would be a Marvel equivalent to Crypto, though?
I don't know. Actually, they have Rocket Raccoon, I guess, which is pretty crazy. But even Marvel's costumes, they're afraid to go all out with the bright colors and stuff. They always add like more realistic looking details and stuff. They don't want to look too comic booky a lot of the time. it
Yeah, I'm
seems.
often not a fan of the MCU costumes.
Yeah,
Especially in the Thunderbolts. I don't like the costumes in the Thunderbolts.
it's
so far.
actually mostly lame costumes
Yeah.
in the Thunderbolts. They all just wear dark, not very bright.
Yeah, Red Guardian. He looks cool. He looks
Even
fun.
he could be more vibrant a bit though.
He could. But Florence Pugh's Yelena costume,
It's not even a costume.
she's just wearing a jumpsuit of some
yeah.
kind. Yeah.
People could dress like that and just go to the mall or something, and it would
Yeah.
be normal. Yeah.
It's not very exciting. Not a good toy.
What about current comics? Did you enjoy Absolute Martian Manhunter?
Ah, Absolute Martian Manhunter was a banger.
That was.
The final issue with the final page with the Martian vision putting up the
That was
light,
fun.
That was just
when he
cool.
realizes, yeah,
Yeah,
that was awesome.
That was just cool. That was a good idea.
Also, the use of colors and everything throughout the whole
Mhm.
issue, that was great stuff.
And I like at the end, if I remember correctly, which I might not, I think his name is Martian Mindfucker.
It appears so, yeah.
That's what it looked like. They had the Martian Mind and then asterisk, asterisk, asterisk.
ER, I think, at the end even.
ER, yeah.
Yeah.
So I hope that's the case, because
And I would be down if that just stays his name in the Absolute Universe.
that's fitting.
Yeah.
That's gritty.
That's what he
they're
does
going
to
for.
minds.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you think he's actually a Martian or a man infected with some sort of psychic disease?
I took it as he's infected by a Martian psychic disease.
Okay.
So that's why when we did the Martian vision, he was seeing that he is one with the Martian right now.
Okay. So you don't think he was always a Martian? Because he has a son. So that's what I was
Yeah,
wondering
I
about.
think he does. He was a human first, and then his wife mentioned that he's been distant for a while. I assume that's when he got possessed or infected by the Martian.
So you think, okay, so Swamp Thing is a bunch of plants that thinks he was Alec Holland, but Alec Holland is actually dead. Do you think that Absolute Martian Manhunter is maybe a Martian that thinks he's John Jones and the actual John Jones is dead
That's a good
and
question.
swapped out at some point?
I did not consider that. I don't know.
Yeah, so let us know your theories. That's kind
Yeah.
of what I'm hovering around right now.
Yeah, that would be cool. Also, that was just, I liked how psychedelic all the colors were when he was starting to realize all the Martian stuff as
Yeah.
well. That was my favorite Absolute comic by far.
I've only read that in Absolute Batman, and I did like it a lot more than Absolute Batman.
Absolute Batman, I dropped.
Yes.
I did not love.
Also wild how Martian Manhunter has an Absolute comic, but no main universe comic.
No.
No.
Actually, he's just in Justice League Unlimited being a little useless right now.
He is currently being done dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
I'm finding Justice League Unlimited quite underwhelming right now. I was very excited for this new concept with all the heroes and like the cartoon vibes, but it's not getting me like I was hoping it would.
What did you think of the reveal at the end that Inferno is a maybe time traveled classic Legion of Doom?
I think that's fun.
Okay.
I do. It was just the last 4 issues have been a lot of nothing happening.
They always default to that being the Legion of Doom, though. You don't often see modern interpretations of the Legion of Doom.
Yeah, I guess it would be fun to see a modern one, but the modern characters are always going through some kind of shit where it's like,
The villains?
Yeah.
What kind of shit?
Who's on there?
So the classic Super Friends Legion of Doom is the one that's there, and it's Gorilla Grodd, Lex Luthor, Joker.
Oh yeah, they went
Cheetah.
over it about how like Lex Luthor is good right now. Cheetah's helping out Wonder Woman right now.
No, I don't mean like the same characters. I mean
Oh,
swap
like-
them out with new villains.
Okay, that would be more fun.
Mm-hmm.
That would be, yeah.
Superman.
But I understand the time traveling just to get the world's finest crossover going.
That's
but
true.
it would be fun to have like a new mix of Legion of Doom for sure.
So try for a new mix. Only newer villains. Who are you putting on the Legion of Doom?
villains, like maybe one for each of the main 7 if I can, or
Yeah.
something.
For Superman, I'm thinking Doctors Farm and Graft. Remember those guys?
From the current run.
From the current run.
Yeah.
Keep it that current.
Yeah, and
They're
they're
the-
still out there plotting stuff.
I
I'm pretty
believe-
sure.
I believe
so. They
so. I
could
don't
have
rem-
been
yeah.
gathering some villains.
Let's put them there.
Yeah, that's good.
Who are we putting for Batman?
For Batman, Batman's got plenty of options, of course. But from recent times,
I'm thinking Mr. Bloom for Batman.
you want to go kind of weird.
Yeah, I want them to be kind of creepy and weird looking.
Okay, I'm down for Mr. Bloom as well. That would be fun.
Mr. Bloom was a highlight of Scott Snyder's Batman run for me.
He also just looks awesome all the
Yeah,
time.
he looks cool.
He's a great guy to look at. Wonder Woman,
Now, Wonder Woman, I don't really want to put a god on there.
Dr. Psycho would help with your weird looking people.
I am thinking that Dr. Psycho is my first. He's not really new, but
Does she have a newer villain except for the old guy she's fighting right now?
aside from the King of the United States,
Yeah, who wouldn't really fit in
no,
there.
he doesn't fit in there. Okay, let's put Dr. Psycho in there. And then for Flash, Flash only has Reverse Flash on there, is that right? I'm not 100% on that.
Me neither.
No, Flash has Captain Cold and Gorilla Grodd on there, typically.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's how that goes.
Would Captain Cold get along with those people?
I don't think he would,
No, I don't think so either.
but he's normally there.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of newer speedsters you could just throw in there, like just put Godspeed on there, but I don't like Godspeed on there.
No, me neither. Also, it doesn't have to be a speedster.
It's true.
Mirror Master would get along with them better than Captain Cold would.
Why would Mirror Master get along with them better?
He's more ready to kill,
Is he?
as I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
Is he not?
I don't know.
I thought he was more violent than the others.
All right. Let's go with. But he doesn't look creepy though.
No, you're right.
I want them to look creepy.
Well, if you want him to look weird or creepy, then it should be Gorilla Grodd.
It should be Gorilla. That's a boring choice.
There can be one of the usual.
All right, Gorilla Grodd's there reluctantly.
Yeah. Green Lantern could have.
Did Tharos die at the end of the recent story? What happened there?
I can't remember.
I don't remember what happened. Let us know if
Yeah.
he's still. Oh, you know what? Atrocitus hasn't been part of a team like this, has he?
Sure, yeah, Atrocitus would be
put
fun.
Atrocitus in
He
there.
just showed up in Green Lantern
Yeah.
form. Yeah.
Say he gets repowered somehow. I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And who do we need? An
Aquaman.
Aquaman. Ooh, that's the toughest one.
I would.
Do the trench have a leader of some kind who's intelligent?
I don't know how intelligent it was, but there was one bigger trench thing. I doubt it was intelligent.
You don't think he was smart? Golden Age Aquaman.
No,
No? Okay.
that's ridiculous. You would think we could think of some funny-looking people for an underwater guy.
I just don't really know who he fights aside from Ocean Master and Black Manta typically.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't have anyone for Aquaman.
No.
Let us know who your Aquaman pick is.
Yeah, it can't be Black Manta or Ocean Master.
They have to be kind of scary looking
Yeah.
for our team here. Okay, and then who are we left with?
Martian Manhunter?
He doesn't have a villain on
No, he
the
doesn't.
Legion typically.
Who is there usually 7 of them?
There's more than 7 because Scarecrow and Solomon Grundy are there, and some heroes do have double
So
on
we
the
could just
Legion.
do some weird-looking people added in there as well.
Yeah. Let's put the Floronic Man in there.
That's a good one.
Yeah. He can kind of be like,
He could be the Aquaman counterpart.
because he's grass, and grass is super effective against water.
And he's fighting Aquaman currently in World's Finest.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, that works.
that really works.
Who else is fighting who in that?
It's weird that you said that.
I'm not collecting World's Finest.
Yeah,
Who else is fighting who in that?
in World's Finest?
Yeah.
Well, Floronic Man just showed up for like their Atlantis adventure. He's the
Oh.
main bad guy in the last story.
Because
He's
Mark
not-
Waid knows grass is super effective against water.
Yeah, and he was a tough cookie to beat. They had to call in
Yeah.
Swamp Thing.
See, that's always how it turns out.
Yeah.
You always have to call in Swamp Thing for this, for the Floronic Man.
Yeah, they should do a story where they don't call in Swamp
Yeah.
Thing.
Swamp Thing's unavailable that day.
Yeah, he's got other stuff to do.
Let's put one more villain, and we need a woman villain on this team. We need to show that evil can be feminine.
Yes.
So
Who?
now I don't want it to be Punchline, but that is their premier woman villain right now.
It is, but she's not scary looking or
No.
anything. She's quite attractive, actually.
Really, go on about that.
No, I don't think I will.
Okay.
I don't think I should. No, I really shouldn't.
You just seem excited is all.
I am, but no, we should stop talking about her actually.
Okay.
'cause
If you insist.
I do. I don't, but I do.
Okay.
We should. I like Punchline.
A normal amount. I'm
Yeah,
sure, yes.
perfectly normal
Yeah.
amount.
Who
Ah.
is a good woman to have on our more monster?
Who's a creepy looking woman?
So I am thinking the new 52 ventriloquist, who is
Oh,
that creepy looking woman.
I
but
like that.
Did she have powers though?
I have no idea.
I don't remember what her deal was.
Me neither. But let's put her in there.
She's on the team.
Yeah.
Her Scarface actually is a magic doll.
Yes.
That's what's happening in the
Yes.
story. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. And we got a team.
We got a good team there.
Yeah.
Get on it, DC.
Yeah. But as I was saying, Justice League Unlimited isn't doing that, so it is underwhelming right now.
Yes.
Also, he writes characters kind of like Impulse is completely immature like he used to be, not like how he grew. Like he's had plenty of character development, plenty of teams he's been on, and it was like Mark Waid completely forgot about all of that and just made him the kid he was at the start again.
He did ignore 20 years of Impulse character development.
Yes,
to
that
default
bothered
him.
me.
Yeah. When Wally was like, I told Superman you don't work well in teams.
That's such a 20 years ago thing.
It's pretty disrespectful to the character.
It
honestly,
is.
Yeah. Even though I think he created Impulse.
Yeah,
Disrespectful.
so he just didn't care about
No.
what any other writer had to do with him. Oh, I'm liking Green Lantern right now and how many different heroes are in Green Lantern. Superboy's helping out Kyle Rayner, and then Dove is helping out Hal Jordan and Star Sapphire.
I like that quite a bit too, because it feels ingrained in the universe.
Yeah, and also Dove is a weird pick, and I liked that.
So they wanted Dove for help to get into that place, but did they mention Dove having a connection to the emotional spectrum?
I don't think so, does she?
I didn't think she did, because they're
I think
connected.
they just needed a stealth person, and Star Sapphire
Okay.
bonded with Dove not long ago. In
She
something
did.
else. Yeah.
In what?
I don't know if it was an Absolute Power tie-in or one of the Green Lantern comics, but they had a little story where chaos was happening and Dove.
Oh, Hawk and Dove are related to Order and Chaos. That's their thing.
Yes.
Yes.
But Star Sapphire happened to cross Dove when there was something crazy. I think it was Absolute Power, and Dove was like trying to call any superhero. It was Absolute Power, and she was trying to call any superhero who was around, and then Star Sapphire happened to come by, and then they helped each other out somehow.
That's good continuity.
It is.
Is Hawk alive right now?
No idea.
Is the woman Hawk alive right now?
No idea.
Mhm. Let us know.
Yes. And then they needed a friend, and I guess Star Sapphire chose to call her because they needed a stealth mission done, and they both glow when they use their powers.
Ah, I like that too.
Yeah.
And I do. So Superboy is in Green Lantern as well. to a point where he's even getting a romantic interest.
Yes.
He's getting that much
Also,
page
I
time.
want to know if Kyle Rayner and Connor Kent have some sort of history together, because why did Kyle recruit him?
No idea. I don't
Me
think they do
neither.
have a history.
I'm liking
as
it
far as I
anyway,
know.
though.
Yeah. Were Cassie and Connor not together at the end of Bendis's Young Justice run?
That was a mess of a run. Cannot remember.
Okay, so we have a running theme in Kicking Trees.
Where we can't remember things.
Yes, that is our issue.
We read a lot of things.
We do, and we don't reread to catch up for you guys. We're so sorry.
No.
No.
We have too much to read the first time to reread things a second time.
So you recently counted all your trades, you said. How many
Yeah.
was it?
Let me check here. It's a little shameful. Well, the number of trades I have isn't shameful. The amount I've read is shameful. So as of March 28th, I have 619 trade paperbacks.
Okay, 619 you own. How many have you read?
I've read 285. That's about 46%.
46%
I
of
haven't
your trade.
even read half of them.
Damn.
I know.
Have you read all your issues?
Issues I'm all caught up on.
Okay.
Yes. Single issues I don't have a problem with because I read them as I get them.
No.
Trades can really pile up.
I only recently started buying a ton of trades. So I can pretty confidently say I've read at least 80 or 90% of my stuff.
But they're growing.
They are growing.
And your reading amount isn't.
Sir, I read 6 issues a day, roughly.
That's crazy.
Yes.
Good for you.
You gotta have reading goals.
Yeah?
How many do you want to have read by the end of 2025?
50%.
What do you say you're at 42?
46.
You want to read 4%?
Well, I'm going to keep buying still as well. I got to keep up with my buying and more.
How many do you read a day, roughly?
Trades?
Issues.
Issues? It's completely random. I'm a busy guy.
Oh, okay.
When I work and then I go home,
What do you do when you're on the crapper?
I don't read my comics on the toilet.
Neither do I.
That's a lie. I think it's unsanitary. But you do you.
Okay.
Also, no shame to any of you who do it as well.
And just know, if you're buying a back issue, there's a 90% chance that's been read on someone's toilet.
That's true as well, yeah.
So keep that in mind.
Keep that in mind, and it's just good to know. Don't put it on your face or something, because it's been in the washroom with someone you don't know. Maybe it was a gross person.
Could have been. A lot of gross nerds out there.
Yeah, that's true.
We're not talking about you, though. You're lovely.
You're beautiful.
So we're all done for today. Thanks for tuning in. This has been the second episode of Kicking Trees. We discussed top 10 Batmans, and we'll be coming at you again next Monday.
See you then.